Rotary, and today, of course, we have been joined by the candidates running for the County Commission, Border County Commission, for the election in November. So we'll just give another 30 seconds and we'll get this thing rolling. We know we're going to fill an hour with our content with questions and answers today. And as people are joining, we are going to start the forum this morning with a 2-minute introduction of each of the candidates. And they've been drawn in random order, so there's no sort of predisposition as to which order they'll go in, and similarly for answering the questions. And as we move through the hour, we will take questions through the Q&A and then move them over. To be honest, we're probably going to have a full agenda with the questions that were already sent in from the Government and Community Affairs Committee. The Chamber of Commerce has a number of committees, and Government and Community Affairs is one of those. We have 8 members on that committee. I'll put their names in the chat so you can just see that going forward. And then they predetermine the questions. If you do have questions we don't get to today, we are going to pose those to the candidates in a writing format, and they've agreed to respond, and we will post their answers along with the video later today or first thing tomorrow. There are a number of other forums coming up. If you know people who couldn't make this morning, the League of Women Voters this evening, and a couple of others. So we certainly will have those on the Chamber website, along with certainly your media sources and that type of thing. So with that, I see that we're starting to get some people in here now. So we are going to kick off this morning, and thank you very, very much for joining us on a beautiful fall morning. We look forward to a great conversation. We are going to kick off with, as I said, 2-minute introductions. Wes Gardner.
Thanks, Anna, and thanks to the Chamber for hosting us again. My name's Wes Gardner. I'm running for Teton County Commissioner. This is my second run. First visit Jackson Hole as an 11-year-old in 1989, and I didn't want to leave. 8 years later, I left Tennessee and never really looked back. 10 years ago, I opened up Teton Toys on the town square, and in 2015, opened a second branch in Lehi, Utah. I met my wife, Megan Warren, playing Ultimate Frisbee at the field for the Center for the Arts, and we are now the very proud parents of a baby boy named Ren. When I look into my son's eyes, I feel so blessed to raise him in Teton County. How will I lead if I'm elected to represent you? I'll value your public dollars. I'll work to unite our community, and I'll listen to you. When I talk about valuing public dollars, we all pay significant taxes every year. As a local business owner, I contribute significant revenue to our federal, state, and local governments. I understand the value of our tax contributions. Appropriately valuing public dollars is always important, but never more so than in the middle of a pandemic. I will not support a seeming obsession with hiring consultants at every decision point. Instead, I rely on staff, local expertise, and yes, our own commissioners to be responsible for our decisions. As a uniter in the community, too often I see opportunities missed because of inadequate communication between partners, both public and private. I will work to bring people and plans together. Only through productive compromise can we generate meaningful consensus, and only through meaningful consensus can we achieve our community goals. At the end of the day, I'm a moderate independent who's committed to finding middle ground solutions for the benefit of our community. I'll listen to you. I've given a lot of public comment. I feel like I've been heard sometimes, but mostly unheard. This community is full of folks with informed and informative words, and I'll never pass up the opportunity to hear what you think. Thanks.
Thanks, Wes. And just as a reminder, we've been joined by some others. We're running through some introductions with our candidates that are going to then move on to questions. We're joined by members of the Chamber of Commerce, and we're also joined by friends from Rotary this morning who are co-hosting today. So thanks for everyone joining. Thank you for all the introductions. Covered a lot of topics there, which some of them we will have a chance to talk a little more detailed on. For those of you joining us, the candidates have received the questions yesterday evening. They have about 90 seconds to respond to them today. We realize this is a very short period of time for complex questions, and it does put them in a difficult situation to explain everything. We strongly urge you, if there's anything you want to follow up on, because sadly we don't get a chance to do follow-up in today's forum, All of their contacts are on our website, and take that minute to follow up if there's a piece that they mentioned today that you do want to follow up about, because I strongly encourage that, and I know that they would welcome it. So we're going to tackle things about housing and about transportation, and but ultimately we're going to start with a pro-business question, because we are the Chamber of Commerce. Greg, thank you for your membership. Wes, thank you for your long-term membership, and others. I know that all of the candidates here are tied into the Chamber, and we appreciate that. We have 900 members, and we do represent a large voice. And sometimes, to be honest, we know that it is hard to take on all of the comments in a public meeting, but when the Chamber of Commerce speaks, we do try and represent our 900 members. It is a large group, and we survey them regularly, and we ask these type of questions. And one of the things that we hear is these people are getting up every day and trying to make business happen. And so we kick off with question number one of you. Define pro-business. Are you a pro-business candidate? Explain why or why not. Specifically, how you would champion the interest of local business, enhance their prosperity, and strengthen the year-round economic climate of Teton County post-COVID and for the next 4 years.
Problem, Anna. No offense to Christian, but I do know a number of children who come to Jackson just for the shopping and Teton Toys. They save their money for months and show up here with pockets full of quarters. Look, nobody understands the problems of being a small business owner more than I do. I started with nothing and have built my little empire into 2 burgeoning businesses, both very successful. I understand risk management. I understand knowing when to take a risk and knowing when to walk away from one. I understand the number one issue for small business owners in this community and big business owners in this community is employees. And the number one issue for employees is housing. So when we talk about problems in the business community, I know exactly what we're talking about, and I know how to move towards solutions to those problems. Nobody's worked harder in their business than I have. I can tell you that Monday night, I was there till 3 a.m. Tuesday night, I was there till 3 a.m. We got 6 pallets in. You know, I understand the problems that we face in our alleyways. I understand the problems we face with our landlords sometimes. But I think most of our problems boil down to employees and staffing, and nobody's going to advocate stronger for small businesses in this community than I will. Thank you.
So we have, we're going to move on to question number 2 here. And I'm going to load up the responses for you guys. There we go. So changing discussion into finances. The current Board of County Commission approved a balanced Teton County budget FY21 that included approximately 50% less in expected revenues, without the need to touch reserves, obviously unlike the town. Do you think the 7th cent penny is necessary? And if yes or no, why? And we are going to start this back with Wes.
Yeah, I mean, I think the reduced revenues, first of all, it's not going to be down 50%. I can tell you my business is up year over last year, which is shocking at this point. So while I respect that those considerations, I think that it's time to review again what our sales tax revenues will likely be in 2020. And I'm not alone. I've talked to a lot of businesses like that. I think it's great that we're able to cut spending for a year, but when you look into the budget specifically, a lot of the things we cut are things we're pushing down the road. So this isn't a cut that can be maintained over years. I do support the 7th penny. Do I think it's necessary? No, I don't think it's necessary. But you know, for me, I'm interested in 12 commuter runs a day over the hill and down the canyon. I think that's important. We need to open the service windows for our commuters on our buses, and I hear that from business owners all the time. So if we want to do things like that, that costs a lot of money. Where are we going to get that money? The 7th penny. I'm interested in affordable housing. You know, check out my website. You'll see that I'm very interested in affordable housing. Well, you only keep housing affordable if we're able to bring revenue to the equation. So Um, Again, that's why I support the seventh penny. And finally, I support it because it's $10 for every $1,000 we spend. It's half subsidized by the tourists, and we need that in our general revenue funds.
Thank you. With the Northern South Park RFP released, denial for the Gill rezone application, and a lack of alternative solutions for large-scale workforce housing development, how do you propose creating a win-win for landowners and our community to increase workforce housing? Please use real examples. The two that I gave you at the start of this question really is the landscape you will be entering, of how you would address this in the immediate and medium term. Wes.
Yeah, thanks. Important question. So how do we make this a win-win is kind of the question I'm hearing. And to me, that's kind of what I've focused on from the beginning of my studies on this project. I commend our current commissioners for their decision recently to push pause. You know, the way I put this is there's a number of ways that we can mess this up. There's only one or two ways we can get it right. And I think that taking our time to create a comprehensive neighborhood plan and vision using zoning tools, making sure we have all the infrastructure correct. That includes sewer, water, roads, pathways, parks. And I think the key to making it a win-win is density. You know, other people have talked about it. The cost of land in this valley is astronomical and growing by the minute. And density is the tool by which we can not only bring a project to pencil and bring profit into the pockets of the developers, which is important. It's also the tool by which we can get expanded housing, and a tool by which we can create affordable housing. You know, for me, in exchange for these density bonuses, the community must be assured of permanent, affordable, deed-restricted workforce housing. To some extent, we got to figure out the percentage. That's part of the process. And again, I commend our commissioners for having taken the steps they have over the last week. I also commend the Gills and the developers for bringing these things forward.
Thank you, Wes. We're changing tacks again. As County Commission, you obviously cover a lot of ground here. Moving into transportation, question number 4. An integrated transportation plan, or ITP, as we all refer to it, without a leader and resources to execute, has resulted in very few tangible results. Increased vehicle mile travel numbers are recorded and no long-term strategic role in highway planning for the county. Do you see this as a priority? And what would you do in office to execute the ITP as visioned? Wes.
Yeah, anybody who knows me knows this is my particular bugaboo. You know, I'm on a number of committees that study transportation in the valley. I'm a START board member. You know, an essential element to this question is, do we need a transit planning director in order to achieve our ITP goals? I'm going to get some pushback from those groups. I don't personally believe we do. I think that, look, if you elect me, I'm gonna be focused on those goals. I'm gonna see everything through that lens. I believe that climate change is the #1 crisis that we face in this country and the world and this community. And my goal, you know, studies have shown that over 80% of our emissions, greenhouse gas emissions, derive from ground transportation. So yes, this is important. Do we need a planning director in order to achieve those goals? Maybe, but let's try to use our elected officials and our staffs to achieve those goals. You know, what we need is more buses, more commuter routes. What we need is a more frequent and efficient START system. What we need is a more efficient road network so we can get from A to B with reduced vehicle miles traveled. What we need, like Peter said, is smart lanes, smart roads. You know, let's expand 22 by a lane in each direction. Let's restrict traffic on those lanes to high occupancy vehicles and buses. I promise I'll go to Cheyenne. I'll work on getting those tools for us. We're already working, commissioners are already working
Wes,
on
I
those
am going to
things.
cut you off because I know you can carry on this one.
Thanks,
Thank
Anna.
you. So question 5 really, obviously has implications, slightly different implications for those who are on the board currently and those who are heading towards it potentially. But I think it's an important one, and we as a community certainly watch and feel this at times. Question is, how important is the relationship between the town and county, and what can be done to make it better? Wes?
Yeah.
We are one community, and I think sometimes we struggle if watching gym meetings, you might struggle to agree with that, that our electeds share that vision. There's a lot of fracture between the town and county. There's a lot of fracture between Teton County and the rest of the state. There's a lot of fracture between our local governments and the private sector. I think empathy goes a long way here. I also think that communication goes a long way. As a STAR board member, like Greg mentioned earlier, I feel like the servant of two masters. I understand that those two entities have different sets of motivations, but I struggle when the elected officials don't seem to understand what a difficult position that puts people like myself and the rest of the STAR board in. It's very difficult to understand.
Wes, we are going to, because we're down to 2 minutes.
Sorry, didn't see the timer. Yep.
Good comments.